Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Nick Delgado with the Guam Daily Post, bringing you your new election show, The Race is On. We are coming to you from the Dusutani Guam Resort in Tumon, and we got another show for you tonight. Tonight, we speak with more of your candidates in the running to be your next senator in the 36th Guam legislature. Let's get to tonight's group. First up, we have incumbent Senator Amanda Shelton, followed by incumbent Senator Jose Pedo Terlaje, incumbent Senator Mary Torres, and former Senator Frank Blas Jr. Hafa day, everyone. All right, now to show you how this is all going to go, we bring you to the starting line.
First, our team of journalists are speaking with voters across the island. Voters will ask a question, then candidates, you get 60 seconds to answer the question. When the clock runs out, time's up. Give the next candidate a shot, or let's get on to the next question. Ready, set, let's race.
All right, candidates, you got it? All right, now let's toss it over to our John O'Connor, who's in Barragata, with your first question with one of the voters. John?
Thanks, Nick. I'm here with no stranger to government, Eloy Hera. Eloy, what's your question today?
Well, my question today to the members, the would-be members of the 36th Guam legislature is how are they going to address the military buildup, to make it beneficial to Guam, the island, and, all of the cultural impact, as opposed to what I read in today's paper, with a lot of inaccurate information, innuendos, and exaggeration. So I am addressing the 36 members of the Guam legislature. How are you going to address the military buildup?
All right, Eloy, thank you for that. Back to you, Nick.
All right, thanks, John. And we'll begin our responses. Candidates, remember, keep watch of your time. Let's start the clock. We'll start with Senator Shelton.
Thank you very much for that question, Mr. Hera. I think the most important job for leaders in the 36th Guam legislature when it comes to the buildup is ensuring that the voices of the people of Guam are heard. That's been one of the biggest issues when dealing with the military, is to ensure that the leaders of Guam are being engaged and being that everything that we do as a community is given full consideration. And so it's our job to be the voice of our constituents to ensure that the military buildup is done with the voices of the people of Guam in mind.
Thank you. Next, Senator Terlaje.
Let me just say, Nick, that, I served in the military for the longest time, and I know how they work. I know how they go into a country and they represent the people of that country. And I guess what we need to do as leaders of this island is to make them understand the culture, the representation, and how we proceed with our lives. And all that we're asking is to respect our people and to make sure that they follow the code of conduct that we expect from them. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Next, Senator Torres.
Thank you. The military buildup has been a topic that has been very divisive on Guam. Divisive mostly because some see it as an economic opportunity for security on the island, while others see it as something that challenges our cultural preservation. So I think what we have to be certain of is that where there are issues with culturally significant sites, that they not be damaged and that they be respectfully addressed. Secondly, the military construction workers that are allowed to come to Guam on the H-2B visa, they have a preference for military projects and over local projects. So that has to be leveled somehow, because that has affected not only the cost of construction on Guam for the civilian community, but also the pricing primarily. But mostly we need a voice, an equal voice at the table with the military, with due respect to the island of Guam and its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Next, Mr. Blas.
Well, first off, Nick, thank you to the Post and thank you to Mr. Hera for the question. And many years ago, I had the pleasure of working under former Governor Felix Camacho when it was first introduced. about with the buildup. And one of the things that I found over the years is that the buildup as we know it now has evolved from the buildup as it was known back then. So one of the things that we need to get to is, what are we talking about when we're talking about the military buildup? If you were to compare the notes from back then to today, you're talking about two totally different programs. That has led a lot of times to the confusion and what we feel misinformation or the disinformation concerning that buildup. You know, that said, I have to agree that there has to be a continuous and a constant oversight on what this buildup is.
Thank you, Senator Blas. Thank you all so much for your responses. Well, now we go back out in the field to our Oya Niarikle Tamuning with more.
Thanks, Nick. I'm here in Tamuning with Nicole, who's from Jotnya, with her question.
What would you do to inspire voters to register again, to have faith in the government?
Thanks, Nick. Back to you.
All right. Candidates, we'll start with Senator Terlaje. Your response?
I didn't get what she said. What she was asking.
What would you do to restore the faith in the government?
What am I going to do to restore faith in this government? We need to select the right senators to represent our people. And, you know, we need to do what we need to do. And, you know, as the chairman for at least 7 committees within the legislature, you know, I represent public safety and I represent DOC, I represent all the law enforcement agencies. So, you know, I expect that, you know, we need to do what we need to do in as far as really adding more people to our police department and intercepting the interdiction of drugs and things like that. So we need to be forceful in a way to make sure that we are safe on this island. So that's my expectation in as far as my service is concerned, and in as far as being the chairman for public safety, DOC, and the Mayor's Council, and also the Veterans Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Torres, your response?
In my first term as senator, my first 3 bills had to do with voter registration reform. And I felt that at the time, removing the barriers to easy voting was one way to encourage people to vote. So motor voter laws were in place, online registration was allowed, and the laxing of ID requirements to vote was also done. And as a result, we now see, according to the Guam Election Commission, where they used to have an average of 10 voter registrations a month, they now have an average of 300. So I think that on top of making it easier, what we need to do is just demonstrate and reinforce the civic responsibility, and that everybody's vote is truly the cornerstone of democracy. And without people's voting in elections, we can ensure that there is going to be the opportunity for them to choose people that represent them. But mostly barriers was...
Thank you. Senator Blas?
Well, thank you. And it's interesting, the question itself, it goes to the mantra or to basically the platform that I have in my campaign, which is restoring trust, confidence, and belief in a better Guam. And, you know, the sentiment expressed by the individual who provided the question is basically a sentiment that I've heard time and time again over the last few months. It's how do we restore the faith back into the government? And it starts with us. It starts with the individuals that you're going to elect as your leaders. And it starts with having to rebuild that trust and that faith and that confidence that the people should have in their leaders to be able to lead Guam into a better future. And that's what I'm going to be working on. That's what I think, that before we can address many of the other issues that we have, we first have to address the issue of whether or not our people are going to begin to believe in us, trust in us, and have confidence that what we're going to do is going to be good for the people of Guam.
All right. Thank you for your response. Senator Shelton, your response, please.
Thank you. What I would say to the people of Guam to inspire them to register to vote is to say that this election is more important than ever. We are faced with this COVID-19 crisis and so many different factors in our community, and we need leaders who we can trust and who we can count on. Voting ensures that your voice is heard and you are a part of the change you want to see in our community. And voting means that you will put into office the people that you trust. And so I would tell the people of Guam that your vote is your voice and your vote is our future. So please register.
All right, candidates, thank you all so much for your responses. Are you ready to keep going? All right, everyone, you know what time it is. Now, the part of the show where we like to keep our candidates on track. Keep it here. You're watching The Race is On.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words,
welcome back. And now we are at the turning point. To get us to the finish line, candidates, you will now take on questions put together by your news team. It's part of the show where the candidates are under pressure to get their answers out there. And again, you each have 1 minute to answer the question. So first question, and this will go to Senator Torres first. Where do you feel GovGuam should make budget cuts in light of the economic downturn?
I think it's important that government of Guam takes some cuts because we are dealing with a situation where the revenues are going to decrease twofold. But we also have to be cognizant of the fact that 65% of the government resources goes to our education, our public safety, and our health. So if we are going to make some real cuts, it has to be to those other areas. And so the difficulty that we have is while we want to maintain warmer bodies, I believe that in order to deliver services to the people, essential services, which we are required to do, it may require, unfortunately, a cut in salaries to many of the government employees. And I think that while others are out of jobs and losing jobs, I don't think it would be beyond us to contemplate also taking a reduction so that continued government service can be provided for the community at large. We are one Guam through thick and thin, and I think we have to just stick to that mantra and be true to our word.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Blas, your response?
Well, thank you. And first off, let's not sugarcoat it. There's going to need to be budget cuts. And where do we get this money? I think first off, let's look at how we are operating as a government. Over the last 4 months, the events have caused us to really take a look at what government services were necessary to remain, and what government services could have been scaled back or should be scaled back. And as a result of all of this, it would make, I would hope, the conversations a little bit more easier, because what we need to concentrate on first is the basic needs of the government, the basic needs of the community that the government has to be able to provide. Will it mean furloughs and will it mean layoffs? That remains to be seen, but I think we need to be able to maximize the monies that we've got.
All right. Thank you for your response. Next, Senator Shelton.
Thank you. So, where budget cuts should be made, I think first we all have to come together to tighten our belt, because we know that we're going to be seeing a lot less revenue in the year to come because of these outside factors, because of the crisis that we're currently living in. And we have priority areas that we must address. Of course, the health and safety of all of our residents. And I think that the first thing that we need to do is meet all of the mandates of our enabling statutes for each of our agencies in the government, ensure that the government is providing all of the needed services to our community, and from there see where we have excess that we can do away with and save a little bit and live within our means.
All right, thank you. Senator Terlaje.
You know, Nick, it's not a matter of cutting the salaries of or the funding of each agency. I think it's a matter of just thinking about some of the things that we need to cut, as far as leasing offices. We need to cut overtime for now. We need to just prolong the issuance of annual increments and things like that. It's not a matter of cutting. It's a matter of just controlling the expenses on what we need to spend. And I would say that as long as we don't cut education, as long as we don't cut public safety and all the human resources that we need to put in place or serve, I think that we need to actually look at the expenses of the government, because we're spending millions of dollars leasing buildings and all that. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, candidates, thank you so much for your response. The next question, and we'll start with Senator Blas for this one. Would you support restoring the senatorial salary to $85,000? If not, what do you propose the senatorial salary should be and why?
Thank you, Nick. Well, first off, before this whole debacle of what the salaries should have been, there was already set in law as to what the salaries had to be, and it basically called for an organic recognition, organic growth. Should we go back to $85,000? No, I don't. I don't think so. Is the work that we need to do or that's going to be required of us, it's going to be maximized. And, but it's kind of a question that shouldn't be in our minds right now based on what is going on in the situation right now. Anybody talking about a pay raise or incentive otherwise in the midst of 34,000 people that are still jobless, are still unemployed, for me, is a moot question, is a non-starter. We can't talk about these things right now because we've got to maximize the monies and be very, very mindful of the money that we have right now.
Thank you. Senator Shelton, your response?
Thank you, Nick. Quite simply, no, I don't think that we should be raising our salaries. We are not in the climate to do so, and when we're here talking about budget cuts and tightening our belts, we can't in good conscience say in the same breath we'd like a pay raise. So no, absolutely not.
Okay. Senator Terlaje, your response.
Nick, let me just say this, that I didn't run for senator because of the salary. And I am not in favor of increasing the salary from $55,000 to $85,000. I will support even more reduction on the salary of senators, commensurate with the services that we do, with the hours that we spend on the floor and our office. So I will not support any raise. And you know the thing is, I'm financially off. And I didn't run for senator because for the $55,000. I could have gotten a higher pay. But see, what I wanted to do to become a senator is to make life better for all of us. That's my concern. That's what I ran for senator for. Because being a senator, I can initiate bills where I can support our government, our people, in as far as finances, programs, and things like that. And that's why I ran for senator. Thank you.
Thank you. And Senator Torres.
I was part of the legislature that voted to reduce its salary. And so I started out at the higher salary and was immediately dropped. And I did that sincerely, and I believe that I don't regret what I did. I do also know that this budget cycle, there is an amount budgeted for the Competitive Wage Act study, which will look at all salaries across the government of Guam. And I think that whatever is reconciled as a true and proper salary for a senator is something that I would support, whether it's at its present state or a little bit higher. But I think that in all fairness to all employees across the government, an independent, comprehensive study that recommends wages is really the course to go, and not this willy-nilly special interest direct hit on one facet of government versus another, because it clearly is unfair and it doesn't level the playing field. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your responses. Now we have these next two questions. It's pretty much a lightning round, just one-word responses here, yes or no, or the response be it. Question, what political status option do you support? And we'll start with Senator Shelton.
Thank you very much, Nick. I think that political status, the right to self-determination for the people of Guam is fundamental and extremely important. I personally prefer the status of independent, but I understand that there's a lot of education to be done for our community so that we can make that decision together.
Okay.
I feel that independence really does right the wrongs of injustice of the past, and so that's where I come to that decision on my own, but it will take a collective effort for our whole island to come to.
Thank you. Senator Terlaje, your choice?
Thank
Political
you for the
status.
question, Nick. And look at this document. It says si talamon. So I really support, when I ran for lieutenant governor back then with Angel Santos, this is my Bible. And I read this because I firmly believe that Governor Rico Badali was on the right track to tell us to go independence. Right now, Guam don't have a political status. And if we were to choose political status, independence, statehood, and even free association, nothing is going to work for us unless we go for independence, so we can set, how we're going to live in the days forward.
All right. Thank you, Senator, for your response. Senator Torres.
I'm not happy that we're an unincorporated territory, and that's the one status that I certainly wouldn't want. And if I could choose, and if it were absolutely an option for us, I believe statehood would be the best route for Guam, if that were indeed possible.
Thank you. Senator Blas, your choice?
My choice would be based on the choice made by the people of Guam many years ago in Commonwealth.
All right. Well said. Candidates, last question. Simple yes or no response, please. And we'll start with Senator Terlaje. Yes or no to this question, Senator. Do you support a part-time legislature?
I definitely do.
Yes?
I want to support. I
All right.
will support a part-time legislature.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Torres, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Senator Blas?
Yes.
And Senator Shelton?
No, I do not support a part-time legislature. From my personal experience in this last term, we do the work of a full-time job, and there's still so much more to do.
Thank you, candidates, so much for your responses. Wow, there you go, off to the second lap already, and we're getting ready to sprint to the finish. Keep it here, guys. This is The Race is On.
And now the end's clear, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, for which I'm certain. A life that's full, I shall reach, and every highway, and more, much more than this, I live my way. Yes, I've had a few, but I can't do to mention. I did what I had to do, and so if you can find an exception, I plan each turn each step of step along the byway. I know much more than this, I live my different way. Yes, we're friends, I'm sure we're like love, more than I could do. But you know, when love is done.
Welcome back. Well, now that we took a quick break, candidates, it's your time to get us to the finish line. You get, again, 1 minute to tell the voters why you. And we'll start with Senator Torres.
Holiday, and thank you everyone for, first of all, giving me the opportunity to serve 3 terms in the Guam legislature. I came into this realm with all good intentions, having worked in the government, serving as executive director of the airport, as deputy manager of the Guam Visitors Bureau, and as general manager of the Port Authority of Guam. And before that, 15 years in the private sector. But mostly in the legislature, I've devoted my time to gaining your trust and maintaining your trust throughout the years, working on policy that rebuilds families, that removes barriers for opportunity, both in the business sector and for us personally. And I want to continue that honest effort, because I think right now what we need more than anything is honest statesmen who work well with others, who are always considerate of you, and who put in an honest job. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Torres. Senator Blas.
Thank you, Nick. We've got a lot of rebuilding to do. Our homes, our lives, our businesses, our services, even our government. And what's happened over the last few months, while nobody could have expected for this to occur, it's put devastation into our lives and in our island. I want to be able to work to be able to build that back up again. I run on the platform basically restoring your trust, confidence, and faith in believing in a better Guam, because I believe in that. I, like you, was confined to our home, my home, was restricted in where I could go. But also, I couldn't start a business. I couldn't go back into my business. We need to build our island back up again. That's what I love to do. My name's Frank Blas Jr. Please consider me. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Shelton, your response.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you to the Guam Daily Post. I'd like to say to the people of Guam, Siduus Masi, for the honor and the opportunity to serve as your senator over this last term. I've always felt the call to public service, and I have the courage to answer this call again. I ask that you please vote for me, and I will continue to embrace our island values to serve you and to carry out a platform of advocating for our Manamku, providing opportunities for our youth, and protecting our environment. I was raised to believe in values of service and respect, and I will continue to embrace these island values to serve you, the people of Guam. My name is Amanda Shelton. I'm number 9 on the Democrat side of the ballot, and I humbly ask for one of your votes.
Thank you. And Senator Terlaje.
Nick Siduus Masia, I want to thank your staff for the invite. And I just want to say to the people of Guam that when I step into the floor of the legislature, my intention was making sure that I maintain that spirit of honesty, integrity, trust, and accountability. And I want to say that if you maintain that spirit of inafamuli, and we go with we share the same thoughts of just what we need to do as a senator, na sina mauli kisit bisyota. Jo fafesin talo, Tau Guam, Chamorro siya, dan ijiti man Chamorro ni man mambuvuta, unayo talo chansa, sabi chogwi mo ni nasinaw, jang ginuchogwi, 100% gi finyanina na silbisyoku para hamjo, bay na hamjo talo 100% gwini gibambela gibena 86 na legislatura, si Masi.
All right, candidates, thank you all so much for your responses. And thank you all for joining us for another round of the Guam Daily Post new digital election show, The Race is On. You can catch it every Monday and Wednesday right here as we get ready to speak with more of your candidates. And be sure to pick up a copy of the Guam Daily Post to find out all you need to know before hitting the polls this August 29th. Stay safe, everyone. Thanks so much for watching.